This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Max and Mia podcast, your space to practice real everyday English.
Good to have you here. Whether you are joining us for the first time or you have been with us for a while, we are glad you are tuning in today.
So, Mia, before we get into today's episode, I have to ask, did anything interesting happen to you this week?
Well, I went to the movies this weekend. I had some free tickets lying around, so I figured, why not?
Oh, nice. Was it any good?
It was all right. Not bad, but definitely not a masterpiece either. It kept me entertained for a couple of hours, so it did the job.
Well, free entertainment is free entertainment.
Exactly. But anyway, ready to jump into today's episode? What's on the agenda for today?
Today we are looking at everyday situations, the kinds of things that come up sooner or later for pretty much everyone. And we are going to walk through some real scenarios to see how to handle them in English.
Ready to jump into the first one?
Let's do it. We are starting with something that honestly feels uncomfortable no matter what language you are speaking. Asking for time off at work.
Oh, that one. Yes, that can get awkward fast.
We are going to follow Freddie, someone who has been living in the United States for a couple of months now, as he tries to navigate this situation with his supervisor. After the conversation, we will break it down together and look at what worked and what maybe could have gone better.
Hey Sandra, sorry to catch you in your lunch. Do you have a second? I need to talk to you about something.
Sure, Freddie. I have a few minutes. What is going on?
So, I have been doing an online course for a logistics certification on my own time after work. I have been doing it for 3 months already, and the final exam is on Thursday the 18th at 4 in the afternoon. I was wondering if it is possible to leave 2 hours before that day.
Oh, a certification course. That is great, Freddie. What made you decide to go for that?
Honestly, I felt like I needed to step up my game. I want to grow here, and I thought having that certificate could open some doors for me. I paid it from my own pocket, so I really do not want to lose the exam for a schedule problem.
That makes total sense. 2 hours on a Thursday should not be a big deal. Can you make up that time somehow?
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking I could come 1 hour early on Wednesday and Thursday, so I recovered the time before I leave. I do not want to just disappear and leave the team with extra work on their hands.
I like that you already thought this through. That works for me. Just send me a quick message to confirm once you have it sorted.
Of course, I will do that today without fail. And look, if for some reason things get complicated that week and you need me to stay, just let me know with time and I will see what I can do. The exam has a second date in case, so it is not the end of the world.
That is very flexible of you, but I do not think it will come to that. Go take your exam.
Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate it a lot. To be honest, I was not sure how to bring this up. Back in my country, this kind of thing you just talk it directly with your boss. But here, I was not sure if I had to go through HR first or something like that.
No, coming to me directly was the right move. For something like this, you do not need to loop in HR at all.
Good to know. That clears me a lot of doubts. Thank you again, really.
Good luck on the exam, Freddie. I hope you nail it.
I will do my best effort. See you tomorrow.
Okay, so Freddie handled that pretty well overall, right? Like, he didn't just walk in and say, I need Thursday off, bye. He had a reason, he had a plan, he was flexible. Sandra seemed genuinely impressed.
Totally. And I think that is what makes these conversations so nerve-wracking sometimes. It is not just about the words, it is about coming in prepared. Because even if your English is not perfect, if you show up with a solution ready, people notice that.
Exactly. And before we even look at the phrasing, I want to point out something really important here. His accent. Notice that even though Freddie doesn't have a native accent, he makes himself understood perfectly. And that is what truly matters. I see so many learners stressing out about their accent, and they forget that the real goal is just communication. If you can understand and make yourself understood, everything is perfect.
100% agree. As long as the clarity is there, you are good. But going back to the words he used, there were definitely a few moments where the phrasing was a bit off. Did you catch the very first thing he said? Sorry to catch you in your lunch. Yeah, that one stood out. The idea is right. He wanted to apologize for the timing, but in English you would say, sorry to catch you on your lunch break, or just, sorry to interrupt your lunch. The word in does not work there.
Small thing, but it does sound a little off to a native ear. Then right after that he said, I need to talk you about something. Again, almost right. You always need that little word to in there. I need to talk to you about something. Without it, the sentence just kind of stumbles.
There was another one that is super common among Spanish speakers, especially. He said, I paid it from my own pocket. That is a direct translation, but in English the phrase is out of my own pocket. Not from, always out of. It is just one of those things you have to memorize as a chunk.
And at the end he said, that clears me a lot of doubts. What he meant was, that clears up a lot of my doubts. Two small adjustments there, but they both matter. Clears up is the phrasal verb, and the structure changes a bit too.
His last line also got me a little. I will do my best effort. That is another translation trap. In English, you just say, I will do my best. Simple as that. Adding effort makes it sound like a word-for-word translation, which it kind of is.
Now, let's talk about the good stuff because there were some really nice expressions in there. When Freddie told Sandra he needed to step up his game, that was used perfectly. It means to push yourself to perform better, to raise your own level. And it fits really naturally in a work context.
Exactly. I needed to step up my game. Sounds confident without being arrogant. It is the kind of phrase that actually makes a good impression on a boss, which, thinking about it, probably helped Freddie a lot in that moment.
Then at the end, Sandra told him she hoped he would nail it. That one is great. To nail something means to do it really well, to absolutely succeed at it. You can nail an exam, nail a presentation, nail an interview. It is very common in everyday speech.
And there was one more. Freddie said he did not want to leave the team with extra work on their hands. To have something on your hands means to have something you are responsible for dealing with, usually something demanding or burdensome. It is a very natural way to talk about workload or problems.
He used it well, actually. That one was not an error at all, just a good expression worth highlighting. All right, so that was scenario 1. Not a disaster for Freddie, but definitely some room to polish things.
And that is honestly the takeaway. You do not need to be perfect to communicate well, but knowing where those rough edges are is what helps you get better over time. Okay, moving on. We want to shift gears a little now and get into something a bit more grammar-focused, but we promise it will not feel like a grammar class.
We want to talk about as used in comparisons. Now, if you have been listening to us for a while, you might remember we touched on this in a previous episode. But honestly, we keep seeing it trip people up, so we think it is worth coming back to.
The structure is simple on paper. As tall as fast as expensive as. You put the adjective in the middle and you are comparing two things that are equal or close in some way. But in natural conversation, it gets a little more nuanced than that.
Right, because you can also use it in negative sentences, like, not as big as I expected, or you can drop part of the sentence when it is obvious from context. And people do that all the time, so it sounds simple, but using it naturally takes a bit of practice.
Which is exactly why we want to show it in action. We have another conversation coming up where you will hear as comparisons used in a completely natural setting, not forced, not textbook style, real dialogue.
And after that, we will stop and look at the key moments together. So stay with us.
So, how is the new place? I feel like you have been talking about moving for ages.
I know, right? I finally did it. And honestly, it is so much better than I expected. The old apartment was fine, but this one is almost twice as big, and the rent is not even that much higher.
Wait, really? I thought places in that area were pretty expensive.
That is what I thought too, but it turns out it's not as expensive as I assumed. I got lucky with the timing, I think. The landlord had been trying to rent it for a while, so he was a bit more flexible on the price.
That is a good find. Is it closer to your office?
Pretty much the same distance, actually. Maybe 5 minutes longer on the train, so it's almost as convenient as before. I can live with that. What I really gained is space. My old bedroom was tiny. This one is nearly as large as my whole old living room, which is kind of ridiculous when I think about it.
That does sound like a serious upgrade. What about the building? Is it quiet?
Way quieter. The old place was on a main street, and the noise at night was just unbearable. This one is on a side street, and it is as calm as a library after 8. I actually sleep now, which is a novelty.
So basically everything is better.
Well, almost. The kitchen is not as modern as I would like. It's functional, but the old one had been recently renovated, and I got used to having nice appliances. This one is a bit more basic.
That is always the trade-off, isn't it? You never get everything.
Exactly. But the light makes up for it. I have these big windows facing east, and in the morning it is just incredible. The old apartment was as dark as a cave no matter what time of day. I never realized how much that was affecting my mood until I moved out.
I totally get that. I lived in a basement flat for 2 years, and it was exactly the same. You just sort of adapt and forget what normal feels like.
Right, and you stop questioning it. I thought I was just a tired person. Turns out I just needed some sunlight. Anyway, you should come over sometime. I'm still settling in, but it is starting to feel like home.
I would love that. Is there enough space for you to actually have people over now?
Yes, finally. The living room is as comfortable as a proper lounge. I even bought a couch that's not a pull-out bed, which feels like a major life achievement at this point.
That is genuinely adulting. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. It only took me 3 years of complaining about my old place to actually do something about it.
Better late than never. Let's plan something for next weekend then.
Deal. I'll cook. Fair warning, though, I'm not as good in the kitchen as I pretend to be.
Honestly, same. We'll figure it out.
Okay, so that was a pretty laid-back conversation, but there was a lot going on grammatically, in a good way. Did you catch how many times as came up?
It was everywhere, and that is exactly the point. None of those comparisons felt forced. They came up because that is just how people talk when they are comparing things. Claire was describing her new place, and as just kept showing up naturally.
Right? And the first thing worth noticing is that the structure is always the same at its core. As. But what changes is what sits around it. Sometimes there is a quantifier in front, like when Claire said her new bedroom was nearly as large as her whole old living room. That word nearly softens it. It means almost, but not quite.
Same thing happened with almost as convenient as before. The almost is doing the same job. It tells you the two things are close, but not identical. And that is really useful because in real life, things are rarely exactly equal. You need those softeners.
Then there is the negative form, which trips a lot of people up. Not as expensive as I assumed. Not as modern as I would like. The structure flips, and instead of saying two things are equal, you are saying one falls short of the other. It is a much more natural way to express that than saying something like less modern than I would like, which is technically correct but sounds a bit stiff.
Exactly. Not as is softer, more conversational. People use it all the time. And then there were a couple of more expressive ones, like as calm as a library and as dark as a cave. Those are not just comparisons. They paint a picture. You immediately know what she means. That is the fun part of the language, when a comparison does more than just measure something.
And the last one was maybe the most natural of all. Right at the end, Claire said, "I am not as good in the kitchen as I pretend to be. No drama, no textbook setup, just a casual, self-aware comment." That is the kind of sentence you want to be able to produce without thinking twice about it.
So, if there is one thing to take away from this conversation, it is that as comparisons are not just a grammar exercise. They are one of the most common tools in everyday English, and the sooner they start feeling automatic, the more natural you will sound overall.
Well said. All right, we have one more scenario for today, and honestly, we saved a good one for last.
This one is a bit different from the others. It is not about asking for something or chatting with a friend. It is about handling a stressful situation in real time and doing it in a language that might not be your first one.
We are talking about a car accident, a minor one, but still. That moment when you hear the bump, you pull over, you get out, and suddenly you have to deal with another driver, exchange information, maybe call your insurance, possibly talk to the police, in English, while your hands are shaking.
And if you live in or are visiting the United States, this is not some far-fetched scenario. Cars are part of daily life in most of the country. You rent one, you borrow one, you drive one to work every day. And fender benders happen to everyone sooner or later.
What we want to show you is what that conversation actually sounds like. The vocabulary you need, the tone that works, how to stay calm and handle it step by step without freezing up completely.
So let's see how it plays out. Stay with us.
Hey, are you okay? I'm so sorry, I didn't see you coming out.
Yes, I think so. That was a shock. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine, just startled. Let me take a look at the damage.
Same. Oh, there is a scratch on my bumper, and the taillight looks cracked. Nothing major, but still.
Yeah, my front bumper took a hit too. Look, let's not make this into a bigger deal than it is. We should just swap information and go from there.
Agreed. Do you think we need to call the police? I honestly have no idea what the protocol is for something like this.
In most states, if nobody's hurt and the damage is under a certain amount, you don't have to. But we should still document everything.
I'll take some photos of both cars before we move anything.
Good call. I'll do the same. Should we move the cars out of the way first? We are kind of blocking traffic here.
Yeah, let's pull over to that side and then we can sort it out properly. Give me 1 second.
Sure, I'll meet you over there.
Okay, so I have my insurance card here. Let me pull up the app, actually. It is easier. Here, this has my policy number, the company name, and the claims number.
Great. I will take a photo of that, and here is mine. It's State Farm. The card is a little old, but the policy is current. I renewed it last month.
No worries. I'll grab your plate number too, if that is okay.
Of course. And can I get your name and phone number, just in case the insurance company needs to reach you directly?
Sure. Marcus Hale, and my number is 312-555-0174. Do you want me to text you so you have it right away?
That would actually be really helpful, yes. I'm Diana Reeves. Here's my number.
Got it. I'm going to send you a quick text now. And listen, I'm going to be upfront with you. I think I had the right of way since you were reversing, but I also was not paying as much attention as I should have been. I do not want this to turn into a whole thing.
I appreciate you saying that. Honestly, I should have checked my mirrors better. Let's just let the insurance companies figure it out. That is what we pay them for, right?
Exactly. As long as we both filed the claim today, it should be pretty straightforward. My company is usually pretty easy to deal with.
Same with mine, hopefully. Do you have everything you need from me?
I think so. Photos, insurance, contact info. We should be good. Are you sure you are feeling okay, though? Sometimes the adrenaline hides things.
I'm fine, really. A little shaken up, but nothing hurts. Thanks for asking.
Good. Well, I am sorry again. Not exactly how either of us planned to spend the afternoon.
No, but at least we're both okay. Drive safe out there.
You too. Take care.
Okay, so that was a stressful one to listen to, even knowing it was going to happen.
Right? And I think that is the thing about this kind of situation. It is not just about the language. Your heart is racing. You are trying to figure out what just happened, and on top of that, you have to communicate clearly with a stranger in English.
What I liked about Marcus and Diana is that both of them kept their heads. Nobody got defensive. Nobody started pointing fingers right away. And that actually makes the whole thing go so much smoother. One of the first things Marcus said was, "Let's not make this into a bigger deal than it is." That phrase is worth holding on to. It sets the tone immediately.
Exactly. And then there is swap information, which is probably the most useful phrase in the whole conversation. Not exchange details, not give me your number, just swap information. Short, clear, and that is genuinely what people say in that moment.
Another one was, document everything. Marcus said it almost instinctively. Take photos before you move the cars, before anything changes. That is practical advice wrapped inside natural language, and it is the kind of thing you want to know before you need it.
Then there was file the claim. That is the standard expression for submitting a report to your insurance company. You do not open a case or send a request, you file a claim. And doing it the same day is important, which Marcus mentioned.
The phrase shaken up is also really useful. Diana said she was a little shaken up. It means you are emotionally rattled, a bit unsettled, even if you are physically fine. It is a very human way to describe that feeling after something unexpected happens.
And then Marcus said something that was actually quite mature for that situation. He admitted he was not paying as much attention as he should have been, even though technically he had the right of way. That kind of honesty tends to de-escalate things fast. And he used a great phrase to frame it. I am going to be upfront with you. It signals that what comes next is honest, not defensive.
That one is useful way beyond car accidents, honestly. Anytime you need to say something direct but want to soften the delivery a little, I am going to be upfront with you, does exactly that.
So the big picture takeaway from this scenario, stay calm, check that everyone is okay first, document before you move anything, swap insurance information, and file the claim the same day. If you can do all of that in English without freezing up, you're in good shape.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. 3 very different situations, but all of them with something in common. They are the kind of moments where knowing the right words actually makes a difference.
Whether it is asking your boss for a few hours off, catching up with a friend and noticing how naturally comparisons come up, or keeping your cool after a fender bender in a parking lot. Real life does not wait for you to feel ready.
Which is kind of the whole point of what we do here. We want you to walk into those moments with a little more confidence than you had before. Not perfect English, just enough to get through it and keep going.
If today's episode was useful, the best thing you can do is share it with someone who is on the same journey. And if there is a situation you want us to cover, a conversation you have been dreading, or one that already caught you off guard, reach out. We read everything.
We will be back soon with more. Take care of yourselves out there.
And as always, keep it up. You are doing better than you think. To keep taking your English to the next level, click on the next video or explore the others we've made for you.